So, welcome to the class. Today, we are heading towards our next topic, which will be regarding the roles and responsibilities of different kind of people working in the organization. So, first of all, uh, we have discussed in yesterday's class that the ILO has an impact throughout the world, and they have their standards, which are conventions and recommendations. And conventions, as we discussed earlier, that they are the basics law, and the recommendation are the detail of these laws. Now, the country which are ratifying these conventions are the part of their legal system. Basically, what we are studying or what we try to understand is we have to manage the workplace. The ILO has provided some guidance as in the form of policies, in the form of roles and responsibilities. If we are fulfilling these responsibilities, we are actually managing our workplace. Other than ILO, we had some other organizations working throughout the world. And most importantly, you must have heard about International Organization for Standardization, ISO. ISO is another global organization. Unlike ILO, ILO is based on the member states, like countries are the members of International Labor Organization. The ISO has other way of working. They actually making the management standards. They are actually making the standards according to the situations, and on which, if the organization is following it, if the individual is following it, they are actually managing their workplace. So either you have to follow the ILO, but either you have to take the standards of ISO. But the problem with ILO is that it can be a part of legal system. Then ISO is not the legal system. ILO is a good management system if we are promoting ILO, if we are adopting ISO, sorry, if we are adopting it, we actually making our workplace safer because they have the best of standards with them, which are promoting throughout the globe. And around 130 countries, the ISO is being adopted there by different organizations, by different individuals. Okay. So ILO basically is the part of legal system, but ISO is not the legal system. It is a management system. If my company has the uh, production and I want the quality in it, so there are the standards available for me, which is quality management system. I have to adopt it for making my quality in production better. So how to adopt these standards? We have to fulfill the requirement of ISO, and afterwards there will be external audit on it. And if the audit comes, or if the audit is following as per the standards of ILO, or it is compiling the ISO standards, we have the certification, and we can register ourselves, or we can write it with our company that we are certified with ISO. So ISO is basically management standards, and our goal is to manage the workplace. And these are the standards which are helping us to follow the management system or good management standards, and keeping our workplace as well as our workers safe from any sort of injuries, to save our business from losses, and to protect our employers from legal systems. So these are the good management standards. Most importantly, common management systems from ISO, including the 9001, which is about the quality management system. 14,001 is about the environmental management system, and 45,001 is about health and safety management system. About 45,001, we will be discussing some important aspect of management system in chapter number 2, that how the management system is basically working and how to adopt it, and what will be the benefit for the organization if they are adopting the standards of international labor organization, international organization for standardization. Now the important point is we have some auditing agencies which are basically performing the audit and allow you to participate in certification. And if you are not fulfilling the criteria, you may not follow or may not apply for the certification. Now, important thing is the ISO management system does not relate with the legal system. It is a good management practice. And for any organization, if they want the good management system, so ISO is there to help. Okay. Now, moving forward to other our today's topic, which is about the roles and responsibilities of different group of people working in the organization. Now, first we have to understand the organization and how the organization is basically working. We have to understand it first. So, first of all, the organization is being owned by the employer. And we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, the employer is basically overall responsible for everyone's safety working for them as they are giving their responsibilities to them so the employer be protected from any legal issues. Employer give basically the responsibilities of their own to their workers. Now, within the organization, we have different group of people which are basically working for their employer to provide them business and to protect them from any legal issues. So, first of all, we will be deriving the hierarchy for the organization, that how the organization flows and how the roles and responsibilities flows within the organization. If we are starting from the top, the organization has senior managements. Okay. And we call them directors or senior manager. Basically, these are the top management working within the organization. In this topic, we will be discussing what are the responsibilities, what are the operational duties of different kind of people working within the organization. So starting with the hierarchy or as following the hierarchy, we have the top management working within the organization. Now, top management contains the senior directors, senior managers. They may be the production managers, they may be the sales manager, they may be the general manager working within the organization. So there are different type of people, and they have different roles working within the organization. Now, our concern is about the people working within the organization with major role in their health and safety. Okay, so the main focus of ourselves is to understand the responsibilities related to health and safety of the top management. If I'm summarizing or making it easier for you people, the top management has four type of responsibilities. The first responsibility and the major responsibility of top management is to provide the direction for their employees, for their workers, in the form of health and safety policies or in the form of policies. Okay. So their first major responsibility is to establish the policy so that all the employees working within the organization follows it, and the objective that top management want to achieve are taken by the workers which are basically working within the organization. So the first responsibility of top management is to set out the policy. Okay, this is the first responsibility of top management. Basically, top management are not directly involved in the operational work, not directly involved in the site. not directly involved in the operational work, but they are making strategies. They also called as strategic management. Okay, the top management are basically making these strategies for their organization. So the first strategy they are making is to set out the policy. And what does policy contain? The policy contains aims and objectives. Aims are the goals which the organization is want to achieve it. And we have discussed at the start of chapter that our aim is to protect the workers from any illness, from any injury, from any damage, and to protect our environment and to protect our employers from legal system. So these can only be achieved if the top management is making the policy which has an impact on the organization, so that the proper aims and the proper objective be achieved from that policy. Now, the set towards coming towards the second responsibility of the top management. The first is to set out the policy. Now, the second is to assign the roles and responsibilities, or to assign the duties to every individual working within the organization. That is their second responsibility. So, it is important to give the responsibility to competent people. And this can also only be set out if the top management is working properly and taking the responsibility. You must have seen that the major role to the people are set out by the top management. They have the right and they have the proper responsibility to give the duty to the designated people, so that the aims they are wanting to achieve can be achieved successfully. Now, moving on to the third responsibility of top management, that is basically to give the budget or to give the resources for the organization, so that the objective or the arrangements be achieved successfully. So, the budget is basically be allocated by the top management, and where to finance it, what type of equipment need to be purchased, what are the additional responsibilities, what are the technology factor they want to implement within the organization. These whole things are set out by the top management. Now we have discussed the three major responsibility. I am going to repeat it. The first responsibility of top management is to set out the health and safety policy, so that the aims and objectives be achieved. The second responsibility is to assign the roles and responsibility to every individual working in the organization. The third responsibility is to allocate the sufficient resources, to allocate the proper resources for the organization or for the workers, so that they can arrange their work in a proper way and no harm could be occur to anyone. And the last responsibility and the major responsibility is to overlook everything, to review everything, to check the safety performance, to regularly monitor, to regularly review their performance, and to review their policies and procedure they are implementing in the organization. So these are the major and basic four responsibilities of top management. The first one is to allocate to set out the policy. The second is to allocate the roles and responsibility. The third one is to allocate the resources. And the fourth and important one is to regularly review all their health and safety documentations, policies, and procedure, so they can highlight where they are lacking and what they have achieved throughout the year for what they are planning for. Okay, so these are the major roles and responsibility of top management. Okay, so moving on, that are the first type of people which are basically working in the organization as per hierarchy. The top management are basically the strategic management. They are performing strategy. They are doing brainstorming and making the ideas and these ideas being promoted to the organization. Now, the ideas making by the top management has to be feeded to the worker through middle management. Now, middle management are the basically the link between top management and the worker. The top management is basically making the strategies. These strategies are taken by the middle management from the top management and to be implemented within the organization and to promote to their workers as well. So these are basically working as a link, okay, between the top management and the worker. So they have different roles and responsibility. They are basically, if I'm clearing to you, these are basically the operational people. They are working operationally. The all operations, basically operations can be derived as the practical arrangement. Basically, the middle management are responsible for practical things, practical arrangements to be done by the middle management. The company has the policy to decrease the accident rate. The accident rate will be decreased when there are efforts, and these efforts are done by the middle management and the worker. Now, how many accident, yeah, how much accident we have to be reduced? They, the middle management have to provide their skills. The middle management have to provide their trainings, and they have different roles and responsibility. They are basically the operational management, which are taking the strategies into work, are taking the strategy into existing, are taking the strategies into practical work. So they are the important and basic and important factor for the organization. Now, middle managements contain the supervisors as well. Now, what is the difference between middle management and supervisor? Middle managers are basically working as an operational managers, and they are reviewing their policies and they are reviewing their procedure on a monthly basis. Or if the objective is achieved, they have to review it how we have performed our duties, what were the shortcoming and what we have achieved, what were the best things. They are all done by the middle management. Now, supervisors are basically the responsible people which are acting as day-to-day operational manager. They are working as a uh, people. Okay, Mansurullah, you can go. They are basically the people which are working on daily basis. They have actively monitoring the workplace. They are checking the daily activities. They are making the trainings. They are involved in the incident investigation. They are resolving the complaints of the workers. They put the any complaint from the worker to the management so that they can review their policies as well. So these are basically the link between top management and the worker, and they are the operational people. If the top management is making policy, the middle management is performing the duty so that the policy can become into existence. So these are the important people working in the organization. Their major roles related to health and safety is to promote the health and safety, to implement the objectives and policies within the organization, to perform the arrangements, and to make the budget work. Basically, if the budget is decided by the top management, it is implemented by the middle management so that everything or every objective be achieved in proper way. Now, they are being supported by the supervisors. Supervisors are basically the responsible people working in a daily basis or daily or day-to-day operations. They are responsible for day-to-day operation. They are basically performing the investigation. They have to keep their records. They have to maintain the training. They have to inspect the workplace. They have to resolve the complaints. They have to consult with the workers. They have to basically supervise every single activity that is ongoing on the site. And if there is anything wrong with it, They can inform their top management. So these all arrangement or backlash being corrected by the top management as well. So these are basically the major performers within the organization, and they are having a major role. Basically, supervisor is basically working as a leader for their workers. If the supervisor is lacking their duty, or lacking in their responsibility, or lacking in their commitment, there may be workers which can commit mistake, and the objective of the organization will not be achieved in a way the organization is wanting. Now, in the hierarchy from the top management to the middle management to the junior management, basically supervisors are junior management. Now, coming towards the hierarchy to the down of the hierarchy, we have workers. We have different workers. It may contain the cleaner, it may contain electrician, and basically the operational workers, which are basically uh, exposed to the hazards, exposed to the workplace, and they are the frontline workers. Basically, these are the people which are adopting the standards, adopting the aims and objective, and performing accordingly. Now, ILO has taught us what are the responsibilities of the individual. They have to perform their work. They have to keep themselves and others safe. They have to follow the instruction. They have to report the accident. They have to promote the better culture within the organization. They have to support their management. They have to consult with their management. They must involve in the activities which are beneficial for them in the relation with health and safety. So these are the responsibilities or basic responsibilities of workers, which are basically exposed to the work. Now, alongside worker, we have different other people as well within the organization. They are not directly the part of organization, but working for the organization in the form of contractors, subcontractors, and dealers. They are basically not the organization people, but they are as a part of organization as well. And they have the same responsibility like the worker has. They have to perform their work in a safe manner. They have to adopt all the instruction which are given by the management to them, or which are given by the client or organization to them, so that no one can be harmed within the organization. Now comes to the important factor that these are called safety specialists, which are working within the organization. Basically, the role of safety specialists or practitioners are to guide, to provide the assistance, to provide the advice to the top management, to the middle management, to the supervisor, and to the worker. They are linked with everyone working within the organization. They have to assist, and they have to give the advice to the top management how to set out the policy, what are the beneficial things for them, how what type of training must be included in the procedures, whom should be the responsible for different activities, what type of budget or what type of equipment will be suitable for the organization, and what does basically law is requiring from us. The whole advice is given by the safety specialist to the top management. Now, coming towards the middle management, the safety specialists are providing them assistance and advice that how to promote or how to adopt all the objective, all the policies within the organization, how to perform the investigation, how to perform the inspection, how to keep the records of every single document that are being used for the organization, and which will help in reviewing the health and safety performance. They have to promote the culture. They have to train the workers. They have to provide the assistance to the majorly to the worker. They have to control the contractors within the organization. So all these are basically the responsibilities of the safety specialists which are working within the organization. Now, These are the different group of people which are working in the organization, and they have different role. And I am summarizing it again. So the organization is owned by the employer, and he is the legal person. Every sort of problem which are exist in the health organization, the employer will be the responsible person for it. Now employer is basically distributing his all responsibilities in different people, so that they perform their work in a proper way and keep the employer safe from legal issues. Now we have the top management. They have to set out the policy, provide the roles and responsibility, budget and review. We have the middle management, which are basically the operational managers, which are promoting the health and safety policies, which are implementing the health and safety policies within the organization. We have workers. Their major responsibility is to adopt the changes, to work safely, to report anything that are hazardous, to report the accident, and keep their employees safe, and work with their employer. So these are the major responsibility of people. And at the very end, we have specially safety specialists, which are basically providing the assistance to every individual working within the organization, so that they are aware of health and safety responsibilities, and they must be aware of what their individual responsibilities are. So these all are the basic guidelines and basic information that how different type of people are working within the organization. So uh, now we have to repeat it in discussion, that what are the different responsibilities of different type of people. If I'm asking you people, so who can explain the responsibilities of top management? Anyone? Yes. Muhammad Ali, would you like to add something in it? What are the major responsibilities of top management? Please unmute yourself and enlighten some information. Yes, please.
Uh, Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I joined a while ago, and I could not catch up the points you highlighted for the top management. I will catch
If
up
you have, if you
later.
have any idea, any sort of idea, you can share it with
Yes,
us.
yes, I can.
Okay.
I can
Yes,
share.
yes, please.
The top management are basically policymakers. They make policies, the policies that will set a ground for the whole company, for all employees. And they are decision makers. They take decisions, they provide resources, they they show their commitment to the safety. And then from the top level, it will come down to the labor and the the base crew, the last line, the frontline workers, I mean. So if I mean, they need to they are if they are committed with safety, then it will automatically this it will become a culture, and they will like they have to lead from the front in this regard, because they are the one who will provide resources. They will provide, equipment. They will provide trainings. Sometimes trainings are costly. They have to send people to the third party. Sometimes they have to provide special PPEs that are expensive, and they have to provide resources to clean those PPEs. Sometimes special PPE needs sterilization or something, and as well as they have to provide administrative controls like safety manuals, safety signages at the work site, and trainings, as I mentioned, and uh, and so on. So there can be, if I mean, if I write it down, I can find out many other points as well.
You have mentioned the better information. Miss Saira has to add something in it. Yes, please.
Sir, we have studied in this class that what is the duties of the directors and the top management. So basically, there are the four responsibilities of the top management. Number one is the development of the policies which contain aims and objectives. Number two is the assigned roles and responsibilities to all the staff members. And the number three is the to allot a specific and appropriate budget and resource to them. And the number four is the overlook and overview the everything which you have assigned to your employees. So these are the four responsibilities of the top management.
Yeah, very true. Uh, uh, Good information set out by you people. Basically, the top management are the making the electricity work. If you enlighten the room, the bulb are basically the workers which have to put their energy, but this energy will come from the top management. They are the basically the electricity, and the middle management is the wire which must be insulated. If not, there must be a backlash, and the organization may disturb, and the whole area will be cut off from the light. Basically, these are the a simple example you can get, that everything from the top management to the worker, they are basically linked with each other. If any person, any single individual is lacking in their roles and responsibility, it will affect whole organization. It will affect the policy. It will affect the major issues. It will create the major issues basically, which are not good for any organization. Now, moving towards our last topic, and a very short topic, which is about the management of contractor. Now, can anyone explain who the contractors are? Anyone? Uh, those who are giving the answer repeatedly would not be allowed to answer. Someone else, someone new. Mansurullah, uh, are you back from namaz or no? Umer Amla, madam, would you add something in it? It will be very, very better. What are the contractors? Basically, you are working in the with the United Nations NGOs, so you will be better describing it. Yes, please.
Sir, I think a person who undertakes a contract to provide the materials and other equipments to the or labor to complete the assignments or to complete the any job or any contract.
Okay. So these are the contractor. Basically, the simple definition is the contractor are the people who are assigned for completing the task for their client. This is the simple definition. Miss Zaira, would you add to this something? You have raised your hand.
Sir, in simple words, contractor definition is the basically third party contractors. We are hiring our organization to complete our task, yeah, complete our JD. That's it.
Okay, okay. So can you give an example of different contractors? That what type of work is or what scope of work comes under the contractors? Anyone would add something to it? Ali Raza, would you like to add something to it? What type of work comes under the uh, contractor, or what scope of work comes under the contractor? Yes, Ibrahim, please add something in it.
Sir, actually, there is some construction going on in my society, and there is a contractor who provides materials or the workers to the to do the construction on the site. So it is basically a provider of the materials or labor. We can say that.
Okay, okay. We can widely be discussed that they can be the people who are providing the labors. They can be the people who are providing the material. They can be the people who are providing their services. There can be the people who are completing the project. There are different type of people. If I am working in an office and there is a issue with our electrical system, and the person or the team which is working for us is basically the contractor. Basically, it is our problem to set out the electricity, and we are hiring the people who are basically the competent people to understand their work and to perform the task in a proper way. So basically, contractors are being used in different and most of the projects to complete the task for their client. And the contractor are, I must say that they are the widely used people, are the widely used people within the around the globe. Every single project contains the contractors. Every single, you can give hundreds of examples in your daily life as well. The every work which is basically is your work to perform, but you are not that much competent to complete the task, and there are contractors which are performing that task for you. So the contractors are basically not directly the employees of organization. Now, if we are hiring any contractor and if he comes to our place and perform his duties, and if he make any mistake, and if we are not managing them properly, it will put the organization in trouble, and the organization will face sanction, and organization will be in legal issues. So it is a best practice for the clients and organization when they are engaging any contractor, they must fulfill the criteria. They must properly manage the contractor so that they basically be safe from the legal issues. Rahil has to ask something. Yes,
Sir, contractor can be said as a vendor
yeah, it can be a vendor.
because a vendor is the same like contractor in different scopes. Its terminology can be different, especially in telecom and
Basically,
IT side.
yeah. Basically, the manpower agency is basically itself also called a contractor. If you have any manufacturer working for you, but are not a part of your employees list, they are also a contractor. Basically, contractors are the people which are doing work for you, and it can be any work. Okay, so uh, in that particular section, we are going to study how to manage the contractor properly. Because if the contractor is not managed by the organization, it will put the organization into risk. The contractor may lose their contract, but the organization will face the delay in the project. The organization will face the financial issues. The organization will face the legal issues due to that work which is not performed properly by the contractor. So it is the best practice for the client or for the organization to engage the contractor which is competent and monitor him so that the workplace be safe. So in that particular section, we will be discussing how the contractors be safely managed by the organization, and what is the criteria for selecting the contractor, how will you plan and coordinate with the contractor, and how will you monitor it. So there are three different phases in which we are basically managing the contractor. The first phase is starting from the selection of contractor. Okay, so the major part of the management is to select the right person for the right job. If the person is not competent enough and not well experienced for the task, there may be the higher likelihood that the mistakes or violation be happen, and the accident may occur in the workplace and harm someone's precious life in within the organization due to the work activities. So the organization or the employer has a duty to control or to manage the contractor. Now, as a health and safety officer, it is our major role, or it is our major responsibility to engage the contractor, to select the contractor, or to help our organization in selection of competent contractor for the work. Basically, from selection till monitoring, the health and safety personnel are directly involved in engaging the contractors. So the contractors be safely managed in three proper steps. The first step is of selection of contractor. That what type of contractor we need for us to perform the activity. Okay. The second phase will be if we are selected the contractor with desired qualification and experience, then the organization and the contractor must have to coordinate to plan the specific work for what they are being hired for. Okay. So there must be this planning and coordinating phase. And the not but and the last the point will be the monitoring supervision, that we have to monitor, we have to supervise our contractor so that the health and safety be ensured. Now, my question to you is, for example, we have a warehouse in which we have different work, different scope of work. There are three different work within the organization related to maintenance of the warehouse, related to the electrical work. We can add these two scopes in our work. Uh, we are working in the warehouse, which is basically for use for the logistics and promote or to share the uh, uh, logistics to the country or area wise where they had to be set out. So we want to renovate our warehouse. Okay. And we need the contractor. You are the safety officer at that particular site, and you are basically being responsible from the top management, that you will be assisting in selection of contractor, that proper contractor be selected for that particular task so that the renovation work be done in a proper way. If you are every single person be in added in this activity, if my question is, if you are at that particular site and you have to select the contractor, what type of information, what type of evidence you will check to of the contractor to check his competency? Is he capable enough for performing the activity? So now my question is, what type of contractor would you need to select on the basis of their evidence, and what will be the evidence, and what will you check to ensure the contractor is competent? So starting with Abdullah. Abdullah, would you like to add something in it? If you are the safety officer and you have to select the contractor for the renovation task, what type of information would you check of any contractor so that you will have the clear image that the person is competent or not? Yes, please.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
जी sir, I prefer the past training records,
Okay.
past incident records,
Okay. Okay.
and is this qualification and certifications about related to its work.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. That's very good. Okay, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, can you hear me?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah,
I
please.
will firstly go. I will firstly go to hire someone who has a good record in previous work. I will look after his previous work he had done, and I
Okay.
will prefer who takes less money.
Okay.
Actually, contractors are very expensive, so I will prefer who takes less money, whose work is good, and whose name is actually a brand. So I would prefer that.
As you are colliding two things. You want a brand in less amount. It is very difficult. You are compromising the quality
Yes,
basically. Okay.
yes,
Don't
sir.
worry. Okay.
We can visit
Okay.
all the contractors. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
after that.
Rahil. Rahil, would you like to add something in it? Yes, please.
First of all, sir, we will check what scope actually we need. Either it's electrical, we will check their team. Either they have qualified electrical teams with them, with their certification, with their training. And second, we
Okay.
will see their last company profile, as company profile, last work, how they prepare, how they concluded their last task with proper PPs. Then I will go for their certifications and PPs inspection. I will confirm that either they are trained and following the PPs, and they have how know about how to use their PPs, not
Okay.
about their
Okay.
brands, or I will not compromise on their brands.
Okay. Very true. Miss Saira, I would not ask you to add something in it. I would let others to give a chance. We have Walid. He had to add something in it. Walid, basically, he is working right now in the field. So, Walid sir, what type of
Yeah.
information would you check? Yes, please add
So
something.
as he said now, the third party certificate is called in Saudi Arabia. I don't know the system in Pakistan, but if we are going to perform an activity related to electric work, then we have to check their qualification, certification, they are competent person or not, previous task, they how they done previous job, and if it is related to any other job, then thus in Saudi Arabia there is a system approved with third party. Anyone way before you hire, you can check his third party certificate. In Saudi Arabia, there are training
There's a
centers
regulatory third.
especially.
There are regulatory authorities
Yeah,
basically which are confirming
yeah,
the certification of through third party. Yes, please add something in it as well, or that's
yeah.
it for
And
you.
also
Okay.
Pathan, Pakistani person, they thinks that they knows everything. You know about them.
They are
Before 5 days.
if I tell you in a native language, they are Jugadi people. So they are hiring
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
they know every Jugad. Okay. Okay, that's
yeah.
very
That's
true.
it.
Miss Saira will want to add something, and we'll let Mr. Ali as a chance as well, so he will add something to it. Yes.
Sir, if I am a if I am able to hire some contractor to my warehouse to renovate work, so first of all I first check the thing is the permit to work in a country of the place first thing. Second is the past experience of the warehouse and specific to the renovation work which I want. Okay, and the third is the license and other certificates of the renovation work. So this is very important. And the third is
Oh,
the training record specific to the renovation work. And the last
okay.
point is I also check the quotation of the contractors.
Okay. Okay. Miss Zaira, from Saira to Miss Zaira. Yes, madam. Please add something in it.
Sir, first of all, I'm check the procedure how to do this remuneration in my warehouse, yeah, my place. Then will previous experience regarding to the relate to the my work, yeah, my task. Third one is trainings record, as well as or regarding emergency response plan due to the any incident and accident occur.
Okay.
Last but not least, all equipments, all machineries are well, well uh,
W- Be
maintained
testified.
or up to the mark or not.
Okay, that's very good. Mr. Ali was Muhammad Ali was raising their hand. He would like to add something in it.
Thank you. Other
Yes, sir.
members have,
Yes.
yes, the other members have already added very good points. I would just like to add one thing, as Miss Zaira just now talked about the procedure. So in the industry, there is, if some contractor wants to, you know, grab some project, they have to apply for it, and then the client will ask for the work method statement, like submit your work, uh,
Working
like how you
method. How you
will
will
work.
perform the work. Okay.
Yes, how
Okay.
you will perform your work, and it will cover each step, that how you will start, in the middle, in the end. I mean, safe work procedure. So they will study, and then on the basis of this, they will approve, or they will maybe add some more information to be implemented. I mean, this is a very good document, and it helps a lot.
Okay. In Pakistan, I would add something. In Pakistan, there is a procedure. If the in public sector they want any contractor, they issue a tender notice in the newspaper, and the contractor has to apply the relevant contractor which has come under the scope of work. They are applying for that particular tender, and there is a checklist provided by the client company that we need different documents, different working methods you are applying in that particular work. They are fulfilling these requirement, and they make a file, and dispatch it to the relevant public authority, which are basically scrutinize it and deciding who is the better contractor for them, and they will give them a chance to perform any construction work or any contracting work. Muhammad Ali, would you like to add something in it? You unmuted your mic.
No, just agree with you. The
Okay.
same concept here
Okay.
in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Now, the information you have added is the same. That when selecting the contractor, we have to check different information. It starts with the health and safety policy. Basically, we are studying the health and safety. So health and safety is basically our scope of work. In every particular thing, we have to somehow grabbing the health and safety information. So any contractor, they may have any company. We are talking about the contracting companies. So if the company is working, there must be some policies, and we have to check the health and safety policy of that company as well. And starting with it, in which we will have the clear image how they are basically promoting their health and safety. Alongside, we will check their previous record of risk assessment, how they managing any risk in particular work, what type of working method they are using, how they are performing the height work, how they are performing the electricity work, how they are performing any sort of welding work. These have clear working methods, and we in Saudi Arabia there is a common working method we using by the organization called JSAs. For every task, they are using JSA, job safety analysis. So the contractor must have to submit their JSAs, that how they will perform a specific task, and what are they using, or what type of technology are they are using, what type of people they are using, what type of PPEs they are using in that particular thing. These all are written in proper working method. How will and how many times they will perform the activity. These everything is included in particular working method statement. Along with that, they have any access to their advisory people which are related to the health and safety, or they have any relevant people or relevant department which are basically responsible for health and safety. We have to check it for it as well. The staff qualification and training record, then what type of staff are working within the organization, the membership with any particular or professional organization such as ISO. If they are in Saudi Arabia, the contractor approved with the Aramco are more preferable in that particular contracting work if they are approved. So if they have any membership with any professional organization are preferable. In Pakistan, the contractor had to be certified from Pakistan Engineering Council. They have certification called C6 and C7 certifications. And for that certification, they have to apply for it, and their document be scrutinized. And on the basis of these particular evidences, they are providing the certifications. And this certification holds that the contractor is trustworthy, and they are connected with any professional organization. So anyone which are engaging with that can trust on him as well. Along with side, we have to check the external history. If the person is or the contracting company is not good in health and safety, we will not compromising that particular thing, which is very important. The records will be also be tested of previous and current clients, as you all mentioned, enforcement records, inspection and maintenance records, which is being tested and approved by third party as well. And if they are using any subcontractors alongside, they have to provide any evidence. On these particular evidence, and there can be much more on the basis of different countries. They have different sort of procedures. And also the scope of work may demand different variations. So these are the basic things which we have to check. Alongside, there are a lot more which can be used to check the competence of any particular contractor. So on the basis of these particular information, we will have the clear image that the person is right for us, the company is right for us, and we will engage them in a work. So that is the first step. We have to select the contractor. Now moving on. Moving on to the second part, which is basically planning and coordination. We have selected the contractor. He is competent enough. He has all the record. He has all the reputation to perform his duty. Now, there is the duty of client company to engage the contractor in a proper way. Now, the contractor will work properly when there is a planning. And any management, if you are managing health and safety, if you are managing any project, if you are managing any person, if you are managing any contractor, it starts with planning. If you are not good in planning, it will result in mishaps. So every management is starting with planning, and management is basically to achieve the goal. And if I want to achieve any sort of goal, we have to plan for it. So if I am managing the contractor, there must be some planning. And what sort of planning will be? The client will tell the contractor what type of hazards are present, what type of issues are present in my warehouse. And the contractor will let the client know when I am performing any sort of activity, it will exaggerate, it will import any hazard. They both will share their information with each other. When they will both share their information, there will be clear image of the hazard that are particularly present in the workplace, which might harm anyone working inside the organization. Waleed Ahmed had to say something. Yes, please.
Sir, can you explain the consultant with the contractor?
Okay.
Because in various
Basically, consultants are basically making the job easier for the client. Basically, the client directly does not involve any sort of activity, or the client may have different projects working in the organization. So their whole work be controlled by the consultants. Consultants are basically the link between contractors and client. They are basically directing these two people. So they are basically the consultants. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so planning is very important. If, as I said, if there is any sort of hazard already present in the workplace, if I am the client, I have to provide the information, and the contractor had to provide me the information what type of hazard being exhaust out during the activities. So they both will make risk assessment, okay, so that all the hazard being controlled properly. They will make the working methods. Now working method will contain on which time the contractor has to arrive, and at what time the contractor has to leave, how many worker will stay in the area, how to perform the work, and if there is any sort of special work like welding or height work, they may need any sort of permit for the activity. So these all working method being decided. And here is an important point. As in health and safety officers, we have to ensure that every planning between contractor and client must be in written form. So no conflict being added later in the project. If everything comes in writing, the contractor has to follow it, the client has to follow it. So basically the violation or the conflict being removed from that particular thing. They must engage the training, they must have to communicate with each other. These all are the basically the planning and coordinating procedure. If the contractor is following all the important thing, which is basically written, if everything is written, and they are liable to complete all those things. So that is very important. And coming towards the end, that is basically the monitoring phase. We have selected the contractor, we have planned with the work with him. Now it's time to check on him. Is he working properly? Is he following all the working method that he is decided us with us. So as a client, we have to ensure that the all the information provided by the client to the contractor being adopted properly, and all the work is being done under the proper working methods. If client found anything that are against the working method, they have the authority to stop the work. And if the contractor is violating the methods on a regular basis, the client has the authority to dislodge his contract or keep him out of the contract. This is basically be done by the client itself. Now, there are different type of contracts. There are short-term contracts and are long-term contracts. Short-term contract be checked on a regular basis, be checked even by in daily work. But in the long term, you need some consultants, you need some third-party people to make a check on basically the work contractors. So you will see in a longer project, which are of 2, 3, 5, 10, or 15 years, there are consultants basically which are engaging the contractors on the behalf of clients. Now, the client may perform audit, annually audit, or you can say quarterly audit to check the basically the activities, to check the organization is working properly or not. These all are being set up under the audit section. So basically, the main purpose behind all these activity is to manage the work proper way and to ensure the compliance, so that the work being done on time and nobody is can be harmed in that particular organization. So that is the proper way of basically engaging the contractor and being decided any work with him. Now, at the very end, we have the last topic. If we are working in a workplace, okay, the Article 17 of C155 is said something to us. The Article 17 of C155 basically are informing the employers or organization, if we have one or more contractor working in same workplace, what are their duties, how will they perform the activity in the workplace. If I can say, if I have a workplace, there are different contractor, there are electricians, there are mechanical work going around, there are construction work going around. These three are different contractors working in same premises, which doesn't belong to them basically. If anyone in these particular contractors engaging or conflicting with each other, they are basically making trouble for the client. Okay, if the electricians and mechanical workers are being engaged in any sort of violence, the project will face some delay and the project will affect the client. So whenever there are one or more contractors working in a same workplace, they have to engage themselves in such a way that no conflict being added to them and the work being done in a safer manner. Because from one stance, they can affect the other contractors as well. So what they have to do, they have to perform regular meeting, they have to make a single emergency exit plan, they have to make a emergency procedure, they have to make a combined training program, they have to perform the fire drill, they have to perform the proper management of any sort of waste arising from the activities. Basically, they have to coordinate. They have to perform the activity in a good manner. If anyone violating the issue, it will make trouble for the client, which is not a proper thing to done. So that particular people which are working in a single workplace are basically giant occupier of premises. We called it, these people are giant occupier of premises. In a local way, if we are giving, if I'm giving you an example, we have seen a different plazas in our country, that there are different stories and there are different employers working in them. And on a basement or on a ground floor, there are a bank. On the upper floor, there may be some call center, and above here, there may be any call center. These basically are the three different employers working in single premises. If anyone has some issue from other, it will affect the reputation of basically the owner which owns that particular building. Okay, so they have to interact with each other. They have to perform the regular inspection. They have to perform the fire drill, so that they will be safe in that particular building. So we have concluded our chapter number 1, and I will be summarizing that what we have learned in that whole chapter, starting with the importance of health and safety, that why a single individual or an organization have to manage the workplace, because they have some responsibilities with them, which we have discussed in proper detail, which are moral, legal, and financial reason to promote the workplace health and safety. We have discussed the regulation, that how a regulation is basically working. We have discussed some important information about International Labor Organization and their standards, which are basically conventions and recommendations. And we have the convention related to occupational health and safety card C155 and their recommendation, which is basically R164. And in that particular convention and recommendation, we have discussed the employers and worker responsibility. In today's lecture, we have discussed the important roles and responsibility of different kind of people working in the organization, the senior managers, the middle managers, the safety specialists, and the workers. What are their responsibilities while working on the site? And there is important information about the management of contractor while working in the organization or for any client or organization. We have to manage them in a way so that the client be safe from any legal issues. Now we have concluded our chapter number 1. Till now, from whole chapter, if someone has any sort of question, he can raise his hand and raise his concern, so I can answer it. Yes, please. Okay, the question was, what is non-compliance? Compliance means to follow something, to follow the standards, okay, being set by some organization, some regulatory authority. If you are not following it, that is basically the non-compliance. If it's like you are riding a bike, and there is a regulation, you have to wear the helmet. And if you are not wearing that particular helmet, you are in non-compliance. Basically, you are not following the rule. You are not following the regulation. Okay. Munib, you have gotten the answer. Okay. Anyone?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to ask something or want to add something? If not, so that is it for our chapter number 1. Waleed Ahmed, yes, please.
Yes, sir. I want to add something according to
Yes.
consultant.
Yes.
I want to know about Pakistan's. You know, if
Okay.
in Pakistan, like Beria town, this is a
Okay.
long-term project.
Okay.
According to construction, then the owner of the project, the client will hire the consultancy team, consultant, who will hire who will select the contractor. And after approved, if any contractor approved on the project, he will take the project. After that, like a key personal department, like safety officer of the contractor, like PM, project manager of the contractor, and also the other persons like key personnel. It should be interviewed with the consultant. It will be interviewed with the consultant. he will approve the contractor. After that, the work can be proceed.
Done. Yes.
So
That.
so client, yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
sorry,
Please.
sorry.
Yes. Please. Yes. Please. Yes. Please. Carry on.
Yeah, so client is a safe now. Client now client all the rely on just the consultant team. Consultant team will follow up them, as you said, will follow
Okay.
them
Yes. Yes.
in a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
term, maybe 10 years.
Basically.
They will up to
Basically,
date.
client has put his stake on that particular project in the form of finance. He is
Yeah,
basically financing the whole project. So at the particular construction project, basically the client has no awareness, no experience how to perform that particular activity. So that is why they are hiring the consultant, which are basically understanding the work properly, understanding the people, are better in engaging the contractor, or better in managing the contractor. So they are basically hiring the consultant, so that they are being sidelined and just has to finance and ask the consultant, what you have done, where is my project position right now, and their role will be directly with the, or their concern will be directly with the consultants.
Sir, I
yeah,
want
okay,
to add
Yes.
Waleed's
Yes.
point.
Yes. Yes, madam.
Yes. So, Waleed is talking about the Baraton project. So, even I have witnessed that basically my firm has conducted the environmental impact assessment of the Baraton project, Karachi. Baraton one project, Karachi. So, even basically Baraton hired us as a environmental consultant, but even Baraton itself directly not hired us. Basically, a contractor hired us for this study.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, these may be the requirement from the consultant, and they are fulfilling it by their own, by hiring some other individual, which are basically the competent people to work for them. Yes, Ibrahim.
Sir, you gave us a scenario of a warehouse. So if there happens an incident, so who will be the responsible for that incident? Is that contractor or me who hires the contractor?
Basically, the work planning is very important. Whenever we are planning any sort of work, as I've discussed with you, that everything must be written. If there is any incident happening, if there is any injury occurring to any individual, if there of any concern of PPEs, who will be responsible, who will be giving the idea, these will be set out between two parties. Okay. So if there is any issue occurred, there is proper procedure of investigation. You cannot blame someone that I have given the contract, there may be some issue with the client side as well. So after proper investigation, we will highlight the area of concern, and on that particular basis of evidences, we can give the answer that who to blame. So if you are asking about who to blame, that is not clear until there is any incident happen. If the incident happened due to the negligence of contractor, he may be the responsible person. If the client has something to do with it, there must be the client's responsibility. So it depends upon the situation, what type of situation, what type of incident that is happening in the organization. Okay.
Then who will compensate the worker? I mean, is there an agreement between the contractor and a safety officer?
The agreement or on the basis of work only. Okay. Basically, we are hiring that person which is competent and which are basically performing the work in a safer manner. And if there is any incident, they it may be the natural disaster as well. We cannot assure anything. Anything can happen in the project. If there is anything that has the duty of contractor, which is already been written in the working method, and he is not fulfilling that duty, there may be the responsible person, the contractor may be the responsible person, and the enforcement action will be taken against them individually. There will be nothing to do with the client. Okay.
I got it.